Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are Revelation 18 and Jeremiah 14. Now, I'm here in Cape Town and there's the Cape Town harbor behind me. Out at sea are these massive merchant ships. You can see them lining up on the horizon, ready to come into this harbor, and they've been doing so for hundreds of years. Now, I think this is a marvelous place to talk about a worldwide economic collapse, which is going to happen before the coming of Jesus. And it's announced here in Revelation 18 as Babylon has fallen, Babylon the Great. Now, Babylon, as you remember, comes from the word Babel. Babel was first set up as an economic effort against God, an independence against God. We don't need God. We can do whatever we like. And basically, some people have said Babylon might be an actual place. The physical place of Babylon is the little ruins that are in Iraq. And so it's hardly likely this is speaking about a great city called Babylon today. Some people have said they're going to rebuild it. Saddam Hussein said he was going to rebuild Babylon, but he clearly didn't get that right. So I don't think it's a literal city that's going to collapse. I think it's an economic system that's going to collapse. And it describes horrific things here. It says that in an hour, things are going to come crashing down. No one's going to be buying shipments of gold and silver. Merchants are going to be weeping. And you say, well, how is this going to happen? Well, I think the beast, which is a league of nations, a world conglomerate of powers that are against God, are going to make some very stupid decisions. And there's going to be a massive economic collapse. That's what's being described by John in just before the coming of Jesus. He sees this dependence on money, this harlotry, this adultery with this defiance of God and this worship of money coming crashing down just before the coming of Jesus. And he says the whole of heaven's going to be saluting and shouting and screaming and saying, yes, look at this system that thought it could stand against Jesus coming to naught. So that's that chapter. As you read through the chapter, you can read in between the lines as what's this going to look like. And then there's this call for Christians to not depend on economics, not depend on the money systems of this world, but depend on God. Put your trust in God. Now, Jeremiah 14 is reasonably similar, actually. Jeremiah is looking at a drought and he's distressed about it and he's talking to God about it. He says, look, the people are complaining. God says, yeah, but they're not following me. So, I'm going to, discipline them in this particular regard. And Jeremiah says, but you're covenant keeping God, but your name is our name. Surely you're going to intervene. He says, listen, don't listen to your prophets, God says. Your prophets are saying nothing's going to happen. You can live like the devil and claim my protection. He says, actually, it doesn't work that way, my boy. And then Jeremiah goes back to the Lord and says, but your covenant, you can't go against your covenant. And of course, God is a covenant-keeping God. The thought that comes to my mind as I read this is that God's ways are so much higher than ours, and his timing is not our timing. The Israelites stamping their feet up and down saying, God, you must intervene right now. God's saying, oh, no. Jesus is coming. The new covenant is coming. I'm going to keep good on all my promises. But right now, you are worshiping idols, and you need to see that that's not going to be good for you. And so that's chapter 14 of Jeremiah. As we look at these chapters, it's distressing to see worldwide calamities. But it's very comforting to know that God's got the long game in mind. He's got everything under control. And his call to us, as he calls to those living in the last days, come out of your dependence on worldwide systems and depend on him, because he's the one who is everlasting. He is the one who's covenant keeping.